Alright, hello. Welcome stream. We're playing some 2 cent, 5 cent today. See how it goes. Usually don't play on a Monday, but today's been a pretty slow work day and came back from vacation feeling pretty refreshed, so we're just gonna go for it. No rhyme or reason other than that, I think. So, yeah. We have just sat down at the table, seen about 4 hands so far on our opponents. Since it's ignition, we do have a HUD, but we only get the hands that we have seen at this specific table. So our goal is just to try and make the right plays, try and play good poker. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So in the hijack, we are looking at King 9 offsuit, which is probably not good enough, so we'll let that go. And see what happens next. Hopefully everybody's day has been going well. Yeah, took a little vacation to the coast over the weekend. That's why I wasn't streaming on Friday. And it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So paired board, rainbow texture. So let's see what happens here. So the big blind donk bets, which is interesting because I don't think that board necessarily favors him. So maybe he is. So he may have bluffed. It looks like he's checking back now. Looks like the in position took that as a sign of weakness and bet, and he's gonna go ahead and take it. There was a third queen, so interesting. Wonder if nobody had queens. 8 ace from the low jack is also not really good enough off suit, which it was. One of those hands that sounds great in practice, but looks like our scale here on our graph is a little iffy here. Looks like we maybe need to squeeze that down a little bit. Let's see if we can do this on the stream. Gotta unlock it. There we go. Looks a little better. Okay. So we are, sorry anybody joining us, we're playing 2 cent, 5 cent Hold'em on Ignition. We got some live graphs on the side. Obviously we haven't been playing very much, we just started. Trying to just play some good poker. I'm trying to go through my bankroll challenge, just a bankroll challenge, because I'm kind of just getting into this. I'm pretty new to the online poker scene, so just trying to learn all the basic strategies and do it while we're streaming and try to make it educational for anybody who's watching. It's a little tough, but I'll try to go through my thought process and yeah, just try to have a fun time. Try to win some money and play some poker. Have a nice wind down from work. I have been, usually when I stream, I start around 3:30 because I start work at like 7:30. So I do like a 7 to 3 on days that I stream. And so it's kind of a nice way to wind down from work. It used to be that I would take the bus to work and have like 45 minutes to chill on the bus before I would need to go cook dinner or whatever other chores are waiting for me. This is kind of my alternative now. So even though we're in big blind, I don't think King 3 is really good enough to defend here. Yeah, so we'll let it go. And of course we would have got the pair of kings, but let's see what the small blind had. Maybe he has like ace x something, ace 7 if he's betting here. He does donk bet the king high, which is interesting. Usually at these small stakes, if they're donk betting, it just means they have something. It's pretty rare that they're bluffing. Although, so he did 3-bet on the, or I guess he 2-bet on the pre-flop, so he's c-betting basically. So I guess that's not a donk bet if he's c-betting, sorry. Okay. So we're in small blind. We get Jack 9, which actually suited is playable. It's playable if we are the first one in, so we'll raise it if it folds to us. If we so if somebody else bets here, we are pretty much folding most of the time. Yeah. So in this case, under the gun, 2 bets. So our range when the under the gun opens is going to be pretty tight. Yeah, like king 10, ace 10 suited, queen jack suited, pocket 9s and above, ace queen off and above. That's about it. So fortunately, jack 9 suited is just not good enough to continue. We would also be out of position when that hand started, and probably not in a good spot. So of course we get our tight ranges are just punishing us when we look at these flops, because now we would have had the top pair and flush draw. But okay, so not counting all that. Are obviously, so the second diamond comes in, and interesting. Big blind takes it. We would have had the flush there. Can't really bet on having the flush. Oh, yeah, well, you can. It's so in that spot, the flush draw would have been basically like a 35% chance to get it either on the turn or the river. So we probably could have continued there if we were in it, but we'll let that go. I think what's important is just while we're waiting for a good hand, we kind of got to start watching our opponents, how they're betting, and trying to kind of spot their tendencies and make sure that we adjust accordingly. In this case, player 5 has been betting pretty strong here. He has about a VPIP of 33%. So we will just assume that some of these, I mean, at lower stakes, it's really, what I'm learning is like bluffing only works if your opponent is likely to fold to your bet. And if you've been watching these rounds, nobody's ever folding. So that means that we kind of have to adjust accordingly and basically just stick to value betting. Maybe protection bet, but that kind of includes the assumption that they're going to fold in some cases. So if we just know that they're never folding all the time, then we just have to stick to value betting, which means overfolding a bit. King 8 in the cutoff is not quite. Actually, we're in the hijack, and yeah, King 8 is definitely not good enough, so we'll let that go. Try to just kind of watch let's watch our opponents and see what's going on here. So we do get a limp from player 4. It looks like his VPIP is 55%, but his pre-flop raising is 0. So he has a strict limping strategy, which is good to remember because, you know, he could limp in with a monster. That's something I've been noticing will happen, you know, at these low stakes. Like, their idea of being crafty is limping and trying to trap, basically. In that case, he had Jack 6, so definitely not a monster, but he did take it. What did he have here? He had 2 pair, aces and 8s. Okay. That was on the board, right? He's just had higher kicker. Let's see. Yeah, aces and eights were on the board, so he just had a higher kicker. Interesting. And that is the painful thing about trying to stick with the razor fold strategy, is that we miss some of these ridiculous hands where they're putting in 30 big blinds on jack high. Yeah, it's just kind of a little crazy. All right, so we get a limp. See what happens here. There is a potential where we do raise even the limp. Okay, but the under the gun opens. Or sorry, not the under the gun. The button opens with 5 big blinds. And in this case, we can call with 9/8 suited. So I think we'll just do that. It is a bit of an overbet. That's because he's trying to isolate the field here. So we'll call. We are out of position, and we get a second call. We miss the suit entirely, so I think we just check here. I expected him to bet. I think we can make a... Well, yeah, let's check. Let's see what happens. I think we can call a small bet with a pair of eights. Okay. So our small bet with a pair of eights paid off. I think because he continued bet last time, we'll just let him c-bet this time. And then re-raise him. No, that's... Okay. So he did do that, which is nice. So we will basically 3x his bet. See what he does. And he gives it to us. So obviously he was bluffing there, which is interesting. Pretty happy how that went, honestly. Wasn't expecting it to go that well. I was a little worried he was just going to check through and we were going to miss a lot of value. King 10 offsuit. I think we could have potentially... No. That's not in our range. So we made the right move to fold, and we will just watch what happens here. So 5, 6, 7, 3. So 2 straights out possible at this point. Also flush, very possible. The second 5 on the board means there's potential full houses out there. So queen ace versus 8 queen. So ace high wins it. Wow. Okay, so button we will... I don't think we're going to open ace 3. We could if we wanted. But against the small blind who's very loose, I think we'll just let it go. Oh, and sorry, I missed the 2-bet here. We definitely don't. I'm not going to call when hijack opens in this spot. Just gotta slow down and try to watch the board a little better here. Also gonna need to adjust my programming here. If I maybe probably should adjust the graphs to be in terms of big blinds rather than currency. If the game's gonna be in terms of big blinds, right? I don't know which is better. The dollars make it a little less exciting. It's like, oh, I got 120 big blinds. Sweet. Oh, yeah, you have $1. All right, getting some sugar intake here. try to keep up the energy. So this is an interesting board. It's basically going to be split. Oh, wow. He had pocket tens. Okay. That's the way to overcome a 2-pair board, is have a better pocket pair. So we'll let 5-10 go and keep on going. I did tweak my analysis script earlier today and actually got it to kind of compile some range data for generalized opponents based on both the zone hands and the ring game hands. So that was kind of nice. Yeah, so hopefully I can kind of start putting that into practice a little bit more. I mean, I'm not sure how entirely wise it would be to mix the two data sets between zone tables and ring game tables, especially considering, I mean, even though they're at the same stakes, it seems like zone players are a lot tighter. So I don't think it necessarily makes sense to mix those ranges, but low jack, ace jack offsuit, I think we're gonna let that go. That's one on the border. Our range says do it if you're, our range says it's an optional. I tend to not play optional on these micro stakes games unless it's just because I'm trying to play tight, you know, which is kind of the exploitative move in these games. See the button, half pot bet, small blind calls, three-way pot, so big blind is thinking about calling too. I find a little interesting. The board is, it's rainbow, but there is 2 connected cards there, so the 10 does make it kind of dynamic. A 9 now has a straight draw. 9 jack would also be pretty interesting here. Well, 9 jack makes the straight, right? So I don't think anybody is somebody betting with somebody opening half pot with 9 jack? Possibly. A re-raise. So now the SPR is really low, which means the small blind is just going all in, and big blind is debating whether he wants to call. Maybe he was bluffing on these c-bets earlier. He's just debating whether to call. That's his only last move. And 2-pair wins it. Nice. Okay, so we have King Jack offsuit in the big blind. This is going to be a call for the most part. I'm not super happy about this call. This guy might, well, this guy has a VPIP of 75%, so board is pretty interesting here. I'd say it favors me more than him, but I'm gonna check. I suspect he's gonna bet here. Question is, do we check fold or check call? Interesting. He doesn't bet, so he might have missed whatever he was going for. I think we bet here to try and get something here. Or just to get a fold, I think, is what we do here. Yeah. Nice. We get our bluff through. That was good. That was interesting. I guess you could call that a semi-bluff in that we had, you know, 6 outs to get the pair. I don't think the fact that he checked the flop to me says he didn't make a pair. I don't necessarily know if like the story is continuous there because I did not bet the flop either, but I guess I was out of position, so a check out of position there I think makes sense, especially since he was the pre-flop aggressor, so I'm not gonna donk bet that spot very often. We have king 10 in the small blind and nobody... Oh, we just get a limp. So I don't think king 10 is really in our limping range, so we let it go. So a very low board, which favors the big blind, which is why I think he let out here. So probably good to note that this guy is aware of ranges. Aware of ranges. So he bets again, and we get a second 5. Let's see what this guy does. Had the 5. That was impressive. Maybe he's not aware of ranges. Maybe he just literally bet his top pair. And that was the extent of his thought process. Very possible. So Jack 8 will open up if nobody else does. Oh, there is a limp. So... So Jack 8 suited, this is technically in our limping range. We can give it a shot. See what actually happens if any of these guys... Now this guy has never raised pre-flop since he started playing 20 hands ago. So for him to raise here would be a pretty big red flag. I think we would just get out of the way. The big blind does have 15% PFR, 15% pre-flop raises, so it's possible he bets. Looks like small blind just timed out. Wasn't actually thinking about anything. And will the big blind check? Oh, nope, small blind's gonna go through the counter. Okay, so we did disconnect. So we have a pretty, like, tight limping range, but it is a range. So essentially we would, you know, we limp with like 8s and like king 8 through king 2, king, and then queen 8, jack 8, 10 8, and then some of our suited connectors with one gap, so 9 7, 8 6, 7 5, and some of our lower pocket pairs, 2s through 6s. It looks like it doesn't really pay off. We have 8 9 jack queen, so I guess we do have a gut shot straight draw, and so we'll bet the gut shot straight draw and see what happens. We get 1 fold, and we get 1 call. Now we get middle pair here, but it's possible this guy has a queen if he's calling. I don't think that he will continue. I don't think that he would fold to a bluff here, or a bet. And since we are just kind of in the middle range, I don't... So he has a VPIP of 76%. We've seen him bluff or lose a lot of hands, so I think I'm just calling a 4 big blinds just to see what he has. He has King Jack. Nice. We lose some big blinds there, but it's not horrible. I think considering how often he did not have it, I think we were slightly justified to call, but he just had a pretty strong hand considering his normal ranges for getting into hands. Jack ace off suit with a bet before us. We bet this, so we're just gonna go 3 big blinds. We'll see if this guy calls or folds. I think we fold to a check raise. Or we fold to a limp raise, right? Yeah. Okay, but he just limp calls. And not a great board for us. He's probably aware of that, so it's possible he bets this. He doesn't. I'm gonna check. And we now have a gut shot straight draw. So the 5 gets us the straight. Because we have, I guess, some equity here, I'm gonna try betting again. We'll see what he does. Calls. And we get the ace high, which is nice. I wouldn't be surprised if he has an ace. I wouldn't also be surprised if he has a lower pocket pair. Although he didn't bet the flop. Yes, we're gonna bet here just because we have the ace high, and he gets it with the 5. Okay, so he had the 5. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take a look at both those hands here. So that's 2 in a row that we lost to him. It's a bit of a bummer. Plus, I guess I could have checked there if I knew that he was gonna call no matter what, and I wasn't sure about my equity. We know that we had top pair, but we weren't sure if he had a straight. I mean, I guess that's why he continued with the flop, because he got the straight draw. He had the gut shot straight draw as well, and I think the ace made it for him. Let's find out. Go back to that. So if he had he had Jack 5. He checks, I check. So maybe that was my first error. I guess I think if I had bet there, he might have folded, but now he picks up the gut shot straight draw, same as me. So I have the ace. He's looking for the 5. I'm looking for the, or I'm sorry, I'm looking for the 5. He's looking for the ace. Feels like kind of just a coin flip in that case, right? He had Jack 5. I think that is a coin flip, essentially. I'm going to punch that in the board here. Or the Flopzilla. So, yeah, I guess the question is, should I have kept betting? Let's punch everything in here. So he has just rec player range of anything and everything. So I'm punching in the board on Flopzilla here. 3 diamonds, 2 of hearts, Ace of hearts. So our equity here is 73%, and I guess that's because it's a lot less likely. We have a jack. Any 5 makes the straight, but we're essentially beating all the other hands without the 5s. So if we so at the flop, if we filter on basically just all of our draws here, oh, and Jack 5 offsuit isn't even in my normal range here. I gotta increase the range. Okay, so we're in big blind right now. We have Queen 7, so I'm just gonna check it, check fold it. So it's not even seeing the Jack 5 as a. Oh well, we didn't bet on the flop, so I think that was the big mistake, right? And then, so once we have the turn 2 of hearts, and then we just filter on the draws, and then top pair and above, we have 50% equity. And so technically 51.1% equity. So a value bet isn't unreasonable there, but he calls. And then the turn is the ace of hearts, and our equity goes up to 70.7%. Well, with the filtering, we're back down to 51%, even with the ace. Okay. I'm gonna open the ace 6 here. So let's go back to the game. We have ace 6 of hearts. And I think we check here. So we're out of position. We don't really have much. Okay, we make the ace of hearts, so I guess we just bet. See what he does. Do you think he has the 5 again? I mean, you could have Jack 5 offsuit again. He did call. I'm gonna check and see what he does. He checks through. Okay, so we're gonna take it. Yep. Thank you, good sir. He's got us. He's got us scared. I don't know what his wild man range is. It's very possible that he paired that 5 on the river. But yeah, going back to that previous hand, where he made the straight and we missed it. It's interesting because if we just assume that he's calling everything, then we have 70%. But if we assume that after I bet he's basically folding anything that's like middle pair or below, but he's keeping all his draws, then our equity goes down to 41%. So I think the error there is just not realizing how much his range reduces when he's calling my bets there. Usually, I mean, his VPIP is 81%, so it seems reasonable to assume that he's he's calling almost everything. But I think it's important to remember that even sane people are just aren't gonna call a whole lot when they have literally nothing, but they will call on draws. And so the difference between those two makes a big difference in the calculations of your equity and how much you should be betting or checking. And so in that case, I think a value bet on the river was a mistake. I think that's what I did, right? Let's check it. River. He checked. I bet. He called. So I definitely should have checked through, given that I had pretty little equity there. And he's not going to be... Bluffing doesn't work with these guys, or at least very rarely, so got to also remember that. Their fold percentage is so small that bluffing... The bluffing math doesn't really work out very well. Okay, so A7, and this is a fold. Yeah. We are still positive for the session, so that's good. So we'll just try to keep playing some hands and try to keep playing sound poker and see what happens. So player 5 is very tight. I think this should be a fold, but he calls, because he calls literally everything. It's weird because it's like he calls almost every bet. Like, is he staying in when he has draws? And if so, what draws does he have here? He doesn't have any flush draws. I guess he could have 6-7 or a pocket pair. I think that's the other thing to keep in mind, is part of his strategy is that his strong or monster hands are masked because he just does the same thing all the time. We'll let that go. That's on the iffy spot. We could have played that if we were in the gambling mood. All right, so back to the game. Done snacking. We get a bet and a re-raise. This player 4 is new. We've only seen him 4 hands. This is the first hand we've seen him in. Interesting that he did a re-raise on the flop and then a check on the turn. Maybe he's looking for a straight draw. The 9-7. It is very unclear what they have. Oh, pocket queens. Okay. I guess he checks the turn to bluff there, or potentially to see if the other guy makes it flush when the third spade came out. The only reason I can think of why he checks on the turn. Okay, so now this guy's tilted. He just lost a big chunk of his stack. We are in big blind, but facing a 6 big blind with 5 queens suited. We could call here. It doesn't feel great considering the big size of his bet. I think he just wants to get it all in on a gamble, so I'm gonna let it go. Feel like he's tilted. Let's watch. He's gonna bet big again. Well, Queen Jack offsuit, not good enough, according to our ranges. So we're just gonna let him throw a temper tantrum here, and then maybe we'll get a better hand to call him with. And 10-2 is not gonna be it.
Earlier this year in a small New York City bar.
So we'll just click fold, and I'm curious if someone is actually going to call him on his craziness. No, just a limp. Alright, here we go. And he doesn't just bet out of the gate. He must have a really weak hand. Maybe he's sobered up now. Okay. Do have 100 on our RNG. I don't know what that means, but we didn't really, not really expecting to need the RNG right at the moment. Alright, so 6-3. On the cutoff, not really gonna be playable here. Especially to another five big blind bet. This guy just really wants to lose his stack, I think. What are our poker tracker notes have some interesting stuff. Called 2-bet from blind range with Jack 9 offsuit. Limp and called a raise with Jack 5 offsuit. Donks flop with top pair or better. That's actually good to know. King 10 offsuit. Yeah, let's try opening it. I think that's actually not in my range, but just gonna see what happens. Okay, well, not the flop we were hoping for. I do have a spade. The question is, do we bet here? I mean, we don't really have much equity, so I think we check through and see what happens. The 8 doesn't help us at all, so I think we just kind of give up here. See if this guy calls. Alright, let's see some action. I want player 1 to go all in and lose, and let's just see what happens. Another 5 big blind bet, a 1/3 pot size, and player 6 folds. Interesting. We all donate back to player 1's stack, and we don't get anything playable, so we have to wait again. A little bit of a bummer that we just haven't gotten a lot of good cards so far, and we just lost a coin flip there at the end, or a little bit ago. Alright, so in position opens for half pot on 10-3-6, takes it. I think player 5 is new, was his first hand in the table. We get another crappy hand. 8-6 offsuit. from the big blind. We might be able to just check through. Let's find out. I mean, if small blind opens here, no. Chart still says let it go. Unfortunately, it's not quite good enough. See if what he does though. And we'll just check fold here. Is he gonna time out? Okay, we just take it. Another crappy hand. So, just waiting for a good hand. Not much else we can do. Try not to be too stingy. Just following the charts. Charts do not like 5-2 offsuit, so. Can't imagine why. Alright, so ace, queen, 8. I'm just gonna put this in the Flopzilla and see if it's gonna say anything interesting about it. So with drunk guy range of 80%, no, he takes it. Alright. So basically drunk guy range there has like 50% no-made hands, but the rest are, you know, he has some strength there. He has about 15% strong hands, which is decent in that spot. Maybe he does understand ranges. I don't know. Fortunately, just can't. I just keep hoping to get him, like, catch him out. He seems to be generating quite a bit of profit from this play. I think the trick is just trying to get him, like, get him pot committed on, like, a sleeper hand, I guess. But we just haven't gotten anything that would let us do that. I think the other thing we need to remember is that playing against someone like that, I think we have to decide at the very beginning if we're going to be pot committed. Because I think that once we get in the fray with him, we can't just fold out on the flop or on the turn or the river. It might be profitable still to fold on the flop if we completely whiff it. But it's almost guaranteed that he's just going to go all in because he's just ticked, right? So you have to be willing to call that all in. That's the trick. And I think that's what makes me uncomfortable. That's where I need to work on, is making good calculated calls. Not just doing it because, not just calling because, oh, I want to see if he has it. But ones where, yeah, all right, just anyways. Okay, so low jack with pocket eights. Not the greatest spot, but we will open it. Let's see what happens. I mean, basically here we set mine. And this is one where it might be a good sleeper hand against our drunk opponent. Because it's kind of like a hidden hand. If there's an 8 on the board, he may not realize we have a pocket a set. And we get 3-bet. We are in the big blind. I think we'll call. I'm a little worried. We miss the set, so we basically just have like 8. We have like 8%. We have 2 outs basically. We also have like a backdoor flush draw. which is also only about 4%. So, I mean, 4 plus 8% is about 12% odds there. But he's going to bet big, and I think we just have to let it go. That guy's a pretty tight player too. He's been the table almost the entire time. He has a VPIP of 21%. So pretty stingy. He probably had aces or kings. And so we just weren't getting the pot odds there to call. Like I said, we probably had about 12% equity there. Now we do get top pair, but I'm not sure what it's really worth. I guess we call here. Any bets? It's possible that he makes a pair here with the jacks. I think we open to try and basically bluff. I feel like this is one where this might be a good bluff candidate because we have some equity with our pair sevens. Let's see what he does when I check to him here. He had the 7 ace. I had the 7-10. So that was interesting because the bluff worked against the sane opponent. But this guy basically is just going to be calling any pair, period. So I guess he's just been lucky. I don't know, like he's gotten a lot of he got the draw on the river on that last hand with the the ace gave him the straight. And then that one he had the higher kicker. That's rough. All right, we're gonna limp this. And we do get the pair of aces. And we do have one spade. I'm just gonna bet half pot. I think it's a very face-up bet. They all know I have the aces. I suspect this guy, if he's calling, they probably have a flush draw. And so it's possible that they just missed their flush draw. It's possible they have 3-5, maybe. So now is where lucky and drunk is a dangerous combo for the rest of the table. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, I kind of expect if this guy actually knows pot odds, he should be folding here because I'm not giving him very good pot odds to continue on a flush draw, and he realizes that, so that's nice. All right. Ace jack on the cutoff. I think we can open that. Yeah. Lucky and drunk, yeah. I feel like that was finally a hand that we beat him on, but we just didn't get a lot of value out of it. It was kind of annoying. Ace 2-4, so we have like a we would need a 3-5 to make the straight. That's not gonna happen. We miss. I'm not super interested in continuing this, and let him have it. Yeah. I think we made the right call there. Yeah, that pair of sevens was actually a bit bigger of a hand than I thought it would be. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can pull it up and see what exactly we're dealing with here. That was weird. I guess Streamlabs is just kind of confused. Not sure why it pulled it up before, but not now. Anyways, I'm gonna punch this into Flopzilla. Okay, so we have 7 hearts, ace of spades. The board is 7 of clubs, 4 of spades, 3 of hearts. And so we had 72% equity. We bet, he called, it was a jack of diamonds. We have 58% equity. He bets, which is interesting. I don't understand entirely why he bets there. Maybe to bluff the jack. We call. Let's see here. Oh wow, four hearts out there. Yeah, so then the 8 of hearts came. We checked through. And he took it. Oh, sorry. So we didn't have 7-8. We had 10-7. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we had... Interesting. So we had 62% equity there at the end. But yeah. Alright. Get back to playing. Okay, so this guy re-raises us. I think we'll call. Not a great hand on a re-raise for pocket jacks. We're essentially just drawing to the 3rd jack and we're gonna let this go. I suspect he has pocket aces or some pocket pair. If a 3rd jack came up, we would definitely call there, but there's nothing we can do. That was, I think, one of the first times, yeah, that was the first time at the entire session that he had 3-bet the pre-flop. So that's a very good sign that he had something like queens or above, and he had us beat. So again, drunk guy gets lucky, and we have to, and our jacks don't pay off. We're gonna actually, yeah, we're gonna check here. I guess we could re-raise. I don't know if that would be very wise. And we miss our 10s as well here. What do we have? We have 10 spade, 10 diamond. The board is king club, 5 diamond, jack spade. So we have 48% equity. Check. Now, drunk guy is on the button, so he's going to be in position, which means he's likely going to bet. The guy before him makes a smart move and just min bets because it's likely that guy's going to call, but he doesn't. He re-raises. I missed what he did pre-flop. I think with 31% pot odds, and we are just drawing to 2 10s, I think we get out of the way. Two cards above us that potentially have us beat. Any king or any jack has us beat. And a re-raise, even a re-raise after a min bet is still a sign that he has something. there. Potentially a pair. He paired the jack or the king. So another min bet, and this time a call. So he potentially that re-raise was a bluff, and maybe we actually would have won here if nobody has anything. Maybe he just paired the 5. Very possible. This guy, oh, okay, he goes all in. I think he's just king 3. Wow. So he had the full house. So it's a very good thing we got out of the way. But it's also interesting that that was his first hand at the table, so we didn't have any information about him. So we couldn't really have known if he was going, like he was a bluffer or what. I think we actually got pretty lucky there in that we stayed out of the way. If we, I don't think we would have called the all-in with a middle pair, bottom pair, but still. We will fold to the buttons re-raise, and I think everybody else is kind of fed up with the guy at the bottom, so we're all, I think, just 3-betting to try and get him out of pots. But I guess he's calling pretty much every hand. Now he's just tilted. Interesting. So, yeah, I think it was Megan was asking me, why I don't do this strategy of being like the drunk guy. Because when she was watching me play, we were watching like this other drunk guy like win a bunch of hands as well and like actually making a profit. And the short answer is like it doesn't make you profit in the long run, but it might be like exciting to play and or actually work in some rare instances. Okay, so cutoff. We with Queen 7 suited, we let it go. I was hoping that maybe like a limp would be in our range there, but it's not. And I think that's probably good because button raises. Now this guy, he has been in here 26 hands, and he has only played one other hand out of the 26 hands he's sat down with. So he probably has a monster hand. I gotta bet he has an ace here. In which case I really want him to crush this guy. Let's watch. Alright, 11. Oh, okay. So this guy slow played him like a fiddle. Let's watch. Oh no. Was it kings, queens? Oh wow. He didn't even have an ace, but neither did the drunk guy, so he won. That was impressive, honestly. Wow. And he's finally gone. He's gone, everybody. Go back to playing a normal game, maybe. If we're lucky. I mean, we're at 77 big blinds. It's not the worst. We only lost, so we lost about 13 big blinds, about $1.15. Not too bad. We're still definitely adjusting our strategy. I think that at least half of the hands that we got in with the drunk guy, I think would be correct to get in terms of the odds. It's just that we lost the luck of the draw on all of them. Yeah, one of them he made it on the river. I think the others he just he had a higher kicker, so we had just rough. Okay. Yeah, so we just haven't been getting a lot of strong hands to play, honestly. Now 10 jack offsuit in the big blinds. We could play depending on what happens here. So the cutoff opens, and chart says to call. And of course we miss. We'll check. I don't think it hits him either though. 8-6-8. That's essentially one big blind is just like a check. 7-6-8. So a 9 gives us the straight. So I'm just gonna bet it. I think that he... I don't know actually know enough about him to know if he's gonna call here. Yeah, okay. So we miss, and it's basically just gonna come down to the higher pair kicker, or the higher kicker. I have a jack, so yeah, he has the ace queen. So he had a pretty good hand there. Just, yeah, we had the straight draw, and then the 10s or the jacks would have put us over as well. So we just kind of missed all of our draws. Thankfully we didn't lose too much money though. We checked through on the river, and yeah, he just won with the ace high. Ace 6 from the small blind against the button is not gonna call, so we'll let that go. Unfortunately, 7-5 offsuit's not good enough to play. So, looking at the play field here, players 2 and 6 are also pretty tight aggressive like us. We have about 50 hands on each of them, and they've been playing less than 1 in 5 hands. So we should be aware that, you know, now it's possible that because of that, they are going to be easier to bluff. So we could potentially bluff against them. But our other players, well, so player 5 has been playing, what is that? 60% of hands. And so, but I mean, yeah, it was rough, but we have a pretty small sample size. It's only about 10 hands so far that we've seen him. Player 4 looks like is also pretty tight. He has only been playing about 13% of hands. So we should also probably consider him like a tight aggressive player. So somebody that we could possibly bluff, but we'll kind of be wary of. Now 10-9 offsuit, unfortunately, wasn't quite good enough to play. And it's a pretty interesting board, ace, king, jack. Neither of them bet the flop, which is a little surprising. Looks like it's going to be big blind versus under the gun. So in this case, the under the gun should have the range advantage here, but it looked like the big blind just bet and took it. So I think in that spot, let's see, can I check it in the poker tracker? Yeah. So in that spot, the under the gun raised, the big blind called, but then the big blind checked and the under the gun checked back, which is pretty surprising. I would think that flop of king ace jack would hit your under the gun pre-flop raising range pretty strongly. All right, so under the gun opens. We are in big blind. We have 6s, so we will call. Now, if this guy raised 3 bets, I think we get out of the way. And I'm actually going to donk bet this. I feel like this is a decent flop to donk bet on. He calls us and we make the set. So we're just going to continue the story and bet the same size. And then we're just going to overbet to try and look like we're bluffing. And if we lose, we lose. If he has a better set than us, then oh well. No, we take it. Okay. I suppose I could have kept the same bet sizing and just gone 50% again, but I guess I was getting a little greedy there at the end. Although I bet most of my stack, I had actually just kind of clicked the hotkey, the overlay that you can't see on the stream for 150% pot size. So maybe a 100% pot size or a 2/3 pot size there would have actually gotten a call. We'll see. I think if it had been an ace or king, he potentially would have called me. The nice thing is we do make a little bit of money back. So we started the session at 100 big blinds. We're down to about 85. So that's only 15 big blinds down for the session is not bad, all things considered. So let's... Yeah, unfortunately we can't play that either. I think that's something I need to work on, is bet sizing. I'm going through red chip poker lessons right now, and bet sizing is like next. So I'll probably go through those lessons in the next couple days. Because yeah, it felt like maybe I just scared him off with my overbet. Usually with an overbet, it's either like you've got the nuts or you've got air. And so I guess he just didn't have a strong enough hand to try and bluff catch me with. All right, so ace-3 is not going to be good enough. So I think if I had maybe just bet the same pot size again and it looked like I was just, you know, if it looks to him like I'm just slamming the buttons down without thought, then maybe it's more likely that he calls me. Okay, so King Jack I think is good enough to open. Yeah, technically it's in our iffy range, but whatever, we did it. And we'll see what happens here. We get a fold. Oh yeah, this guy, player 1's different now. Unfortunately, we kind of whiff that flop. See what imposition does. I think that... Does he have a queen here? I think we can get out of the way without losing too much money here. I mean, we would have gotten... I suspect he has queens there. So low jack, we can open with 6s again. It's actually also in the iffy range, but it looks like we get folds all around, which is good. We'll see, and looks like we just take the pot. Nice. So unfortunately the queen 5 we won't really be able to play. We'll see what happens if it comes around to us. Player 5's a new guy, so we will be wary of him. Alright. Another stinker of a hand, so we'll just let that go. Thankfully everybody else didn't want to play either, so we get another chance here with the ace-4 offsuit on the button. We can open it if we're... Yeah, let's try opening it. Get one fold. Do we get the other fold from the new guy? We get a re-raise. Fortunately, that's not... Ace-4 is not going to be good enough, high enough in our range to call that. Certainly could have been just an opening bluff from him. We know nothing about him right now. So we have to assume he's the same player. But as we watch more, maybe we'll find out that he's not. Maybe it was that other guy, the drunk guy from earlier, coming back for revenge. We'll see. So so player 5, this is his second hand we've seen from him, and he is also being very aggressive in the second hand. So I think player 6 is just trying to figure out what's going on. Now player 6 only has a VPIP of 14%, which means he's very tight and aggressive. So I'm a little interesting that I guess he folds because he didn't have the nuts there. He must have not had an ace. Nine jack not good enough either. I'm getting work stuff. Let's see. All right. Sorry, I'm getting work slacks here. Okay. I think we're good. Well, it's been about an hour, 15 minutes. It's about 4:38. I think what I will do is plan on signing off around 5 p.m., so about 20 more minutes. I think we'll just play through rather than doing the analysis today. Just because I've kind of been doing the analysis as I've been talking. And maybe that'll give us a chance to win some money back. Alright, so we open up with King Queen suited. It's probably one of the best hands we've gotten today. And we get a re-raise from the Maniac on seat 5. Not super happy about that. We are under the gun and we are out of position, so King Queen suited is a call. Also not happy about that, but let's see what happens. Okay, so I guess we'll check to the pre-flop aggressor here and see what he does. 395 can't be too great for him, but likely he has a pocket pair here. Maybe even aces. The fact that we just kind of whiffed the flop. We have no straights. We have a backdoor flush draw for, 4% equity. I think we just got to let it go. Really quite a bummer. He makes a giant pot without really even trying. Okay, I guess we just do this again here with Ace King offsuit. So in the big blind, we are gonna raise it. So we'll go 12 big blinds. See what he does. I think if... Oh, no. Okay, he lets us take it. And he leaves because he's probably tilted. Well, I wish you had a table of more readable opponents. The entertainment of phrases like a re-raise from the insane player in seat 5 is pretty good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean... I don't know if you'll see in the the delays hit you or not yet, but unfortunately we lost that hand. But I feel like we didn't lose too much, and I think that he just has a pocket pair there, and if we had hit at least one of our pairs, we continue there. But without like any straight or flush draws, we really are drawing pretty slim there. And it's possible that he has even that beat with pocket aces, or like pocket kings or queens there is possible too, even though we block the king queen. Still possible he has the other two, so I think it's probably wise to stay out of that one. I mean, watching him play right now, like he's still just kind of betting almost every hand, or almost every street, so he's doing pretty good here. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Now I'm kind of debating if I just want to switch to play in explain mode, just because I feel my brain starting to fog over. It's 4:43. We'll play until the dealer chip passes us. How about that? Then we'll switch into play in explain mode and try to figure out if we could have done better on any of these hands. I feel like only losing $1.50 is not actually all that bad. We haven't lost any like insane all-ins, so that's good. I should say we lost 30 big blinds, so we're down to 70. No luck. So when the dealer chip gets to us, that'll be our last hand, and then we'll try to go over some hands before I sign off. Alright, so get two so first of all, he bet first with oversized bet of 8 big blinds, and then he player 1 bet the flop with a smaller bet. I suspect that the over bet, the large bet size on pre-flop was just to try and get all the limpers out of the way. But I think he did not realize that this guy, he probably didn't look at his player 1 stack or player 4 stack size. So the SPR stacked pot ratio is very low, which means that it's kind of just guaranteed that player 4 is going to go all in. He does, and he wins it with 7-8, which is kind of impressive. Versus the ace queen. So might be good to note, like player 1 there, you know, he just bet his ace queen. He didn't actually like he didn't bet his hand in relation to the board. He just bet his hand in isolation and assumed it would be good enough. That's something I think I've for the most part have gotten over, especially after losing a few big hands with pocket aces. But it's something you still definitely see a lot at these stakes. With the button opening in the big blind with Jack 9 offsuit, we're actually going to call. Let's see what happens here. And we get a re-raise. So unfortunately, we have to fold to the re-raise just because the quality of our hand is so low compared to compared to what these guys are likely. So let's see what happens here. And we get an all-in, ace king versus queen king, and we would have taken it with our Jack 9. I feel like we should probably end on that one, especially with 5-3. We would have taken it with the Jack-9. Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal. All right, let's watch for entertainment. This guy's tilted now. He lost his last hand, so now he wants to go all in. Player 4 calls him. And we would have had the open-ended straight draw with the 5-3. But we would have won, I think. Oh yeah, he won with high card king. We would have won with a pair of 5s. Okay. Well, this is definitely the type of session where we need to sign off before we get tilted. So I think we will fold here and call it. Yeah. Wow, that was quite the ending here. All right, let's switch to explanation time. So, let's look at some of these hands here. Let's look at our loss leaders for today. Let's take a look at this King Queen suited. I think I'm just gonna do one hand today, and then probably gotta go grocery shopping, get some dinner. All right, so we have King Queen suited. We open in the under the gun. We get a call, and then we get a re-raise. We call again. All right, so first of all, let's try to figure out what he potentially had here. What is his range when he 3-bets here? 3-bets from the cutoff. He is likely, so this is probably his range, something like this. Let me let's see if we can. No, can I do this? There we go. 150%. Thank you. Okay, so this is probably like his range right here. 3-betting from the cutoff position. We will let's make this a little bit more like consistent. So this is 20% here, and so we'll say something like this. All right, and so we have King Queen suited. And the flop is 3-9-5. 3 hearts. 9 spades. 5 of clubs. So we have 27% equity there, which is a lot, even lower than I thought it would be. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, so even not counting or any filtering for the quality of their hand, we have 28% equity. Now, we check, which is pretty reasonable considering we're not doing too great. And the villain bets again at about half pot, so he's given us 25% pot odds. So yeah, with 25% pot odds and we have 28% equity, I guess we could have called there, but it's probably not looking great. And if we filter and assume that he is not bluffing, maybe he has middle pair or above, and he has, and look at this, there's no like very little straight draws here. So if we filter for like the quality of his hands and assume that he has middle pair or better, our equity goes down to 27%. So 27% versus 25%. So I guess we could have called there, but it felt like he feels like at these small stakes when they bet that big twice that they probably have They usually, well, yeah. They usually have something. I mean, if we get rid of middle pair and say he has top pair better, yeah, we're still looking at about 27%. So I guess we could have profitably called, but it would have been a very close hand. Now, the other thing to note is that there is another player in the board. So if we switch to multiplayer mode here, and we have his range, and then we have like somebody who is calling a re-raise pretty widely, like let's say something like this. And then we have our hand, which is king queen suited. Super annoying that can't see here. So if I just say king queen of diamonds. Or spades, sorry. Okay. So what I did here is because looking at the replay, the action is 3 ways. We have 3 players. So that actually changes the math quite a bit, because you're not just comparing your hand against his hand, you're comparing your hand against 2 other people's hands. And usually what happens is the pot odds are a lot worse, and your equity is a lot worse in that case, right? So in this case, we're still getting the same pot odds, 25%, but we only have basically 18% equity in this position, mainly because, you know, the other guy has some equity as well. So we're assuming that he probably has something like 25% equity, and then the guy who is betting has 56% equity. Now, some of this, you know, this chart is kind of interesting because it tells us some of the things like what kind of cards we want, right? So this is saying that we were like any spade that comes up on the board is going to help us a lot. Any king or queen that comes up on the board is going to jump us up to like 56, 57% equity. 55% equity for the kings, 48% to 52% equity for the queens. And then basically every other card is complete garbage for us. Even the aces is really bad for us. And that's because there's a lot of combinations of aces like ace 10, ace 5, you know, ace jack, that our opponents both can have, and we don't have the ace, which means that it would give them the pair and it would not give us the pair. So right, so theoretically, so I guess it is a good fold when you take into account the fact that there was 2 other players in the pot, and because of that, our equity was a lot smaller than, you know, we said it was 28% when we were looking at just 2, like range versus hand. When we look at 3 ranges against each other with our hand versus range, we see that our equity is a lot lower. So yeah, so with an equity of 18% for us and pot odds of 25% that he is presenting to us by betting half-size pot, we get out of the way correctly. Now, all that being said, let's see what happens. Okay, so the other villain folds too, so he takes it without showing anything. So we don't know what he had. We're going to mark this as what did he have. I actually looked up a hand earlier that I had marked as what did he have from a few months ago, and it was pretty interesting because it was one where he folded to me, and he had like a pair of 4s. So I was actually happy that I bet correctly. Anyways, okay. Well, I think I will end on that good note that says where the math says we did the right thing. So it was a losing session today, but we didn't lose too much. We only lost about 30 big blinds, so about a third of our buy-in. And so we are still up about 4 buy-ins in total from when we started the challenge. So we will just keep cranking up And once we are up 10 buy-ins, I will start multi-tabling and on stream, and hopefully that will make the stream a little bit more enjoyable to watch, just so that, because we're not only watching one thing at a time. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So just trying to crank away on this bankroll challenge. Not getting a lot of luck today. Hopefully we'll get some more luck tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks.